Hey, everybody, welcome to today's workshop From Overwhelmed to Infinite Scale, the three key shifts to packaging your expertise into a scalable business without maxing out your calendar or sacrificing customer results. My promise to you in today's training is to give you a solid plan of action so you can move from overwhelmed to infinitely scalable. And it just takes a few simple shifts. And it just takes a few simple shifts. Are you ready? All right, let's go. If I haven't met you yet, it is so nice to meet you. This workshop is for you. If you are a one on one service provider, a coach, a consultant, an agency owner, a scalable expert, someone who's just starting to monetize their expertise, or you already have a productized service offer. So, one of the things that we start to look at is what's the problem that we have when we're in any of these roles is that your business sometimes feels like a roller coaster, right? You're constantly building new offers and chasing sales. You're scrambling to keep your customers' attention once they do buy, only to have them disappear without a trace or worse, not get results. And the bottom line, as you started your business to help more people, make a difference, and have more freedom. But the better you get at your expertise, the more clients come your way, which is a good thing, right? But instead of feeling excited, you feel stressed, overworked, and burnt out. And you want to know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it's that cycle of the better you are, the more people you attract, the busier you get. So, the big question that we're going to tackle today in this workshop is how can you help more people and earn consistent and growing income and still have time for what matters without feeling overwhelmed, disconnected, or feeling like you're letting your clients down? Anyone have this question? Yeah. What does it feel like when you look at this question? Do you want to help more people? Do you want more consistent and growing income? And obviously, more time? Yep. Most of the people who are on this training feel that same way. Hey, if we haven't met yet, my name is Tara Bryan, and I have been helping companies in the trenches optimize for results and develop their frameworks, their online experiences, and all of the things around customer growth for over 25 years. Started in corporate, probably like many of you, went into an agency model where I was doing that one-on-one agency kind of delivery, custom delivery and project work, and then shifted to being able to help people start to leverage their expertise in a whole new way, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So we have been doing this for a very, very long time and have the experience to help you move through each one of the shifts I'm going to share with you today. So when I started, went out on my own, started the agency, this is what I thought it was going to look like, right? Every day was going to be just this sense of having control of my time, being able to travel, being able to be with my family, being able to do all of the things. And this was the vision that I had, but the reality was just a little bit different. So the reality was we were really good at what we did, and as the agency grew, m- my time did not decrease to give me more freedom to be able to do these things. What it was more hours away from my family, more hours of travel, more hours of just putting in the work in order to be able to move through the growth of the agency. And so I was like, well, something is going on here, right? Something needs to change because this does not match what I thought it was going to. So I went on a journey to really just identify what are the kind of three things that I have noticed in the agency model that aren't scalable, that aren't working. First is that roller coaster that I just talked about, which is you do a great job and you have more clients and then you have less time, right? This constant sort of roller coaster ride of getting more people, fulfilling on that, and trying to figure out how to get out of that constant loop. Then the third one is that, like, not being able to control your time. So the more you grow, the more time you're spending, regardless if it's your time or your team's time, you're just creating a more complicated engine. And then third is what I call the 51st Dates Conundrum. And this is based on the movie by Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, where Drew Barrymore has a brain injury. And so she wakes up and every single day, Adam Sandler, who is her boyfriend, has to convince her that they're together and that he is not a stranger and that she actually loves him. And so that's what happens when you have custom projects for every single customers. Customers come in, do the same thing over and over again, and you're just constantly repeating yourself. So I looked at these three things and I'm like, there's got to be a solution for this so that we can get out of that trap in the agency model. And so I went on a journey to find the answers to figure out, how do we do this? How do we reshape the business model so that we're not in that trap? And so what we started to do is to shift even early on from the agency, the custom projects with our customers, to start figuring out how to package what we were doing so that we can deliver a one-on-one experience with our customers consistently. So we started to do that, and then we went on to design scalable experiences for those customers and for new customers around our expertise, right? So around the things that we were already doing as an agency so that we could help other people like us get out of overwhelm and overwork and not being in control of their time so they could feel relaxed and confident and focus on what they do best, which is getting results. So that shift started to happen as we went through this journey and answered those questions, which really ultimately led to the infinite scale method, which is my proprietary methodology or step by step path for how I take our clients from point A to point B. How do you go from overwhelmed to being able to infinitely scale your business without it being tied to your time? And that's really the methodology that we teach now in all of our programs, which provides that fast track for people to go from where they are to where they want to go. All right. So that brings me to where I am right now, which is that I have 100% control over my time. I can take off time or I can work 70 hours a week, depending what I feel like doing, depending upon kind of what we want to take on as a business. I don't take customer calls on Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays unless I want to, which means no customer has my cell phone number, which means no texts, no late night calls, or any of those types of things. And I have a way to bring in customers 24/7, 365. And most importantly, I have a way to help them get results 24/7, 365 on repeat. And so when I look at that journey that I went on, what I'm excited about showing you today are those three shifts that we made that made all the difference to go from really being able to start to infinitely scale our business as we move forward. So let's dive in. All right, what I want you to think about right now and put in your worksheet is, what's the number one thing that you think is holding you back right now? Is it you're maxed out with client work and you don't have time or systems to focus on retention or growth? So customers come in and then they just leave, right? Like you have a leaky bucket where they're coming and going. Number two, are you constantly chasing the next sale with no predictable revenue? Constantly having to get new customers in the door in order to start to get that revenue coming in. Can you not figure out how to get customers to show up, participate, or get results? Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to grow beyond the number of customers that you currently have? Think about if you had to double your client load right now or triple your client load right now. Are you just feeling overwhelmed by that idea? Or something else? What else is holding you back? Go ahead and write that in your worksheet and just really start to reflect on that as we move forward. All right, so I have a couple more questions for you just so you can do a quick assessment of where you are right now. How many clients can you realistically serve right now? Just put a number. Is it 10? Is it 20? Is it 5? Is it 100? Where are you in terms of what you can realistically serve in terms of how many people? Okay. And then how many people do you want to have? Like, how do you want to go from 5 to 20 or 20 to 1,000? What does that look like for you? How do you start looking at who you want to serve and how many people you want to serve? So write down those numbers. Okay, now let's look at how many hours a week are you working? How many hours would you say that you're putting in each week? 10, 40, 70, 100? How many hours are you realistically working? Or are you and your team working? Let's put that in if you have a team. And then how many hours do you want to work? If you look at your ideal schedule, if everything else was not a factor, how many hours would you want to work? All right, so put those down. All right, so then my third question for you is if nothing changes, how long will it take you to reach your goals? So if you have an income goal, say you're at 250,000 right now and you want to go to $1 million in top line revenue, if nothing changes, how long is it going to take you to go from where you are today to that $1 million in top line revenue without changing how many customers you serve and what you're spending your time doing? How long will it take? Put a number, just put a number down, and we're going to talk through this as we go. You have a number? All right, good. Okay, so let's talk about this. What would it mean to you if your business could work for you? You could serve more clients without adding more hours to your day, to your week, to your month, whatever that looks like. Could build predictable and scalable revenue that wasn't tied to your time and attention. If you had a choice in how you spent your time, what if you could decide what you wanted to do on that particular day and you were not tied into working hours and hours in order to fulfill on client requests? What would that mean to you? Just take a moment and jot down what that would mean to you. Would that be significant? Would that be something that would change the game for you? Okay, let's use all of that information that you just wrote down and start talking about the three key shifts that we are going to use to take you from where you are right now to where you want to go without being on that roller coaster as you start moving forward. All right, so the first shift is to unlock that hidden advantage. And you know what? It's probably right in front of you, but you may have missed it. We're going to dive into that particular shift first as we move forward. Then we're going to look at discovering the secret thread that keeps your customers engaged and coming back for more. And then we're going to look at that surprising shortcut to build a business that frees up your time even as you grow. All right, everyone ready to go? Okay, think about which one you are most excited about learning about as you look at these shifts. Let's dive into shift number one. All right, so the reality is most business owners who serve customers have hit a ceiling. And if you haven't hit it yet, you will. So custom one-on-one work means limited capacity, right? If you have everything that you're doing with all of your clients is custom and it's all one-on-one, you only have so much time in the day, in your week, in your month to be able to fulfill on that. So you have limited capacity. Most often, the business depends on you. Even if you have a team, what happens is the team revolves around you as the main expert who is driving the strategy or the direction for each one of the clients. No systems, and you're constantly overwhelmed because you just don't have any automation or systems, or the systems that you have are not working for you. So you're constantly overwhelmed. You have unpredictable income and in unpredictable client demand. More work equals more time and more complexity. Anyone feel this reality? Yeah, usually most of you. All right. So what happens when we look at this one-on-one model and why this one-on-one model is not scalable? Because more clients equals more time required. More offers means more complexity to manage, and more hours equals less freedom and more burnout. So doing more doesn't mean growing smarter. It means that you're going faster around the roller coaster. I thought actually like for years in my agency that I could just outwork this particular problem that was happening with all of these bullet points that are right here, right? If I just worked harder, this would start to happen. If I just worked harder, I'd have more time. If I just worked harder, I would be able to add enough clients to manage my income or grow my income. If I just worked more hours, eventually I would have more freedom and feel less burnt out. As you probably know, that doesn't actually work because it's it doesn't happen that way, right? So we always call that the definition of insanity and not infinity, right? If I work harder and harder and expect different results, then I'm literally just expecting something that's not going to happen, right? So definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting something different to happen. So instead, let's move to infinity and not insanity as we move forward, because doing the same thing over and over isn't necessarily helping us. Okay, so I just want to explain this visually in terms of what most people are doing, especially as they start growing a business, is that they have infinite ideas, right? Like there's a million different ideas that you have around what you could be doing with your expertise, how you could help customers. A lot of times, what we do is we just go out and find customers and then we just do whatever it is that they want us to do, right? If you found yourself in that position where somebody says, "Do you do this?" You're like, "Yes, I do." And then you go off and figure out how to do it and then do it for your customer because you're just trying to get as many kind of bodies in the door as possible so you can meet your revenue goals. So we have a ton of different ideas. We do a ton of different things as we get started. And so what happens is we throw out a million different offers. And so everything becomes a new offer and we just put it out there and try and attract people to that offer. The problem that we run into is that every single offer requires work, right? It requires that if we sell that offer, we have to deliver on that offer. So if, say, you have 5 offers and somebody buys each of your offers, then you have to deliver on each one of those. So say you have 5 customers and 5 offers and they each buy a different offer, then you are literally delivering 5 different things to each one of those different customers. When you start looking at that and exponentially growing that, you realize how difficult that is to manage because you're just creating excess complexity in your business. So a lot of times people say, I don't want to niche down, or I don't want to have just one offer. I want to do whatever it is that people want me to do because I'm really good at a lot of different things. When you look at it visually like this, it becomes a little insane when you think about that you could be doing 20 different things for people, but each different person that comes in has a different expectation in terms of what needs to happen when you're doing delivery. Much less, what happens is that each of those offers needs some sort of marketing and sales to get it out to the right people, right? So you're doing all these marketing and sales activities for each of these customers for each offer. And then again, you're selling it, and each one of the deliveries needs to have something going on with it based on the customers that you're selling. So this becomes a very complex model very quickly. So the shift that we recommend that you make and that we made in our business as we moved into a scalable model is to move to one focus. So instead of trying to do all of the things for all of the people and based on all the things within your expertise, the road to success is actually focus on one thing, package it, and then build it from there. That one thing is your proven approach, your specific authority framework or IP or methodology, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. We're going to call it your authority strategy, but you start from that one place and then build out. So if you look at it from this perspective versus this perspective, this is what you're looking at. So you start with your expertise or your authority strategy, your framework, your methodology, your model, whatever you want to call it. Again, we have a particular name for it, but it's basically how you help your customers based on your expertise. So we're going to dial that in first, and then from there we're going to build one offer and deliver one experience. And then from there, you can infinitely scale the delivery based on how you want to deliver that experience. So think about that for just a second in terms of changing the model from throwing out a bunch of offers around your expertise, throwing out a bunch of different ways that you're delivering to focusing on kind of the one authority framework. So the one path that you use to help your customers go from point A to point B. Okay, that's your focus. That's where you're starting. That starts to drive your entire business. Because the opportunity is to simplify your business so you can scale it. All about your ability to seamlessly focus on using your expertise to guide your customers from one step to the next, anticipate their needs, and create a consistent journey to their desired result. That's what builds infinite scale. So instead of having this be your method for infinite scale, it's really looking at how do you create a scalable model that delivers an amazing experience for your customers each and every time without all of that complexity. Because at the end of the day, once that happens, it gives you choice. It becomes a shift that allows you to become the go to expert in your field, create clarity and consistency in your business for yourself, your team, and your customers, and gives you the ability to focus on how and when you want to show up and add value to your customers. So I have a question. What is your expertise? Do you know what your expertise is? What are you an expert in? Go ahead and write that in your worksheet. What are you an expert in? So if you have that expertise, you know what that is. Good job. Congratulations. Now, one of the challenges around your expertise that you may or may not have dialed in is how to communicate that authority to your prospects. So when you're like, I'm an expert, hire me to do this thing, or hire me because I'm the best at this. If you're finding yourself in that position where you're just like, yeah, I'm an expert, obviously, but people aren't hiring you, it becomes a challenge in terms of having your expertise match your experience and how you're growing and scaling your business. So how many of you find it hard to communicate your that authority to your prospects? Find it a little challenging? Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, the next question around this is how many of you have taken that expertise and used it to create one proven step-by-step approach that you use for your customers? So think about your current business. Have you or do you have a way that you consistently help your customers? Like whether it's the path that you take them on, the methodology that you use, do you have something that you use with most of your clients? My guess is the answer is yes. You have something that you use with most of your clients. Maybe not all, but most of them. You can pinpoint how you do things and it's somewhat consistent. So identify, are you like 0% of your clients, 50%, or 100%? One of the things in the agency is we had every project was custom, but we had a 5D model that we followed. And so each and every customer went through this same 5 phases of a project. So we could really consistently help people because we knew exactly how to go through all of those 5 phases. The business wasn't scalable because it was still a one-on-one and custom, but we had an approach that we used. So do you have that in your business? Really think through that. Okay, so that proven approach or your authority framework is the bridge that you take your customers on to go from the problem that they have to that desired result that they're looking for. So when you show up as the expert, you're really taking them from where they are today to where they want to go. So think about that with all of your clients that you have. That's how you are positioning what you do. So that your authority framework is that step-by-step path, whatever that looks like. If you don't have that yet, then this is perfect for you because this allows you to start thinking about how to package what you're doing by creating that step-by-step path. And it becomes your ability to communicate with your customers. We have this way of doing this. This is the fast track, and here are the exact steps to go from point A to point B. Because that is the key to being able to help your customers not only have the clarity and confidence to be able to know that you're the person to help them, but also shows them the exact path, meaning that they know what they need to do to become successful. Because the opportunity is once you do that, it becomes repeatable And your proprietary step-by-step method quickly builds confidence and trust. If I say I have the infinite scale method, which is a 9-step path that gets you from being overwhelmed to infinitely scalable, that perks your ears, right? Instead of, yeah, I can take you to become scalable. You just have to join my thing and we help you do that. And we'll come up with a game plan and blah, blah, blah. Like that is too squishy, right? Like you're not, by saying that, I'm not giving you confidence 100% right away, right? You're like, I think she can help me like her, but by saying, here's how we exactly get you from point A to point B, you quickly build that confidence and trust, which elevates your authority and elevates people's ability to know that you're the right person for them. Because once you have that, it becomes the foundation of your business, not you and not your time. So consider your current state, right? So often people are hiring you because of you or because the time, like they're like, I don't have time or I don't have expertise in house. So I want you to do this. And they're hiring you to provide a service or provide your time to help them. When you change it into a proven methodology, that shifts the game. You become the one leading the conversation instead of just becoming an extra pair of hands or becoming somebody that comes into their business so that they can tell you what they want you to do, right? Shifts the opportunity. Okay, so here's what's happening with your customers. Just let's look at it from a customer's perspective. So the customer is asking themselves these 3 questions and when looking for these answers. I have a problem. How can I fix this problem? So they're wandering around looking for an answer to their problem. Then the next question is, what is the result that I'm looking for once this problem is fixed, right? So I have a problem, but what do I want to have happen? Sometimes your customers can articulate this and sometimes they can't, right? If they're trying to go from 250,000 to a million, that's a very specific problem to a result. But sometimes people can't necessarily articulate the result. So they're like, I wonder what the result is. And then they start looking for what that result could be. And then that drives them into the next question, which is, okay, so how do I solve that problem so I get to that result? Those are the 3 questions that your potential customers are wandering around looking for the answer to. So if you can put yourself in that position, if you can answer each one of these questions for your customer, you win the game. By having a proprietary methodology or one focus for how you're moving things forward, you become the answer that they're looking for just by putting out the fact that you have a proven methodology. Okay, so let's just talk about Sarah real quick. Sarah is a business coach and she was amazing at what she did, but she was completely overwhelmed in her business. She truly believed that the best way she could help her clients was to do whatever they told her to do. And so everything was customer manual, right? She just waited for each of her customers to tell her exactly what they needed, and then she fulfilled. But what happened was obviously that led to overwhelm and burnout because she just didn't have enough time to grow and serve both her clients and new clients. So she started to into her authority model, really looking at what she was an expert in and how she wanted to help serve her clients. Her workload decreased by more than half. Her revenue doubled at the same time. And her clients not only trusted her expertise, but they kept coming back. They looked at her completely different as she showed up differently in her business. So this is usually when I get some but Taras. But Tara, even if I create an authority framework, my clients want to work with me one-on-one because they all have unique needs. Anyone have any special unicorns in your business? Yes. Okay, but the good news is, even if you keep working with your clients one-on-one, if you follow your own proven framework, it will guarantee them results, which allows you to create tools and resources to streamline the process and build long-term relationships. And I will tell you that it actually starts to free up your time so you can serve one-on-one in the highest level without recreating the wheel. So consider if you could show up and help your customers in like your highest level of value without being overwhelmed by your time. That's what starts to shift. But Tara, my business thrives on variety. I think I'd be bored if I narrowed my focus and had one proven path. Plus, my customers keep buying all of the random things I create for them. Isn't that good? How did I not become a one trick pony? The good news is the power of focus is more powerful and lucrative than variety. The question you need to ask yourself, and this is really important, right? Like the question you need to ask yourself is whether or not you want a more complex business model or one that allows you to grow and scale without burning out. I know the answer to that question for me, but it took a long time. I will admit that to you, right? Like I thought that I needed to have more and more complexity in my business. I needed to solve bigger and like crazy problems in order for my business to grow. And the reality is, once I had the power of focus, it freed me up to be able to handle all of those challenging problems that I love to solve with the rest of my business still running like a well-oiled machine, right? So I added that after, and instead of having a chaotic business, I had a business that was functioning and could add in those challenging projects that I knew that I loved to do based on my expertise. So it was a win-win, but I had to let go of that at the beginning in order to get to that in the outcome. But Tara, I don't have time to get off the roller coaster and lead with my authority framework for each customer. The good news, you don't have to. One framework for your entire business, not for each customer. Every expert has a framework, even if it's not formalized yet. I truly believe every expert has a way that they tackle how they help people go from point A to point B. And so the goal is to find one for your entire business because that will become the foundation, not to create a new framework for every single customer that you have, or just in general, create a million different frameworks. It's one framework, and then that helps you create the right solution that will help you be able to grow and scale that solution as you move forward. Okay, so let's take action. Take about 30 seconds or so and write down on your worksheet the top result you consistently help your clients achieve. What is it? What is that top result? You may have a lot of them, but just pick one. What is that top result? Let's just write that out, write it as measurable as possible in a result statement. And then once you've done that, share one word in chat or in your worksheet that describes how you would feel or what would it do for your business if you could deliver those results more easily and more predictably. And I will add without more time. How would that feel? Or what would that do for your business if you're not a feeling kind of person? Okay. All right. Got your word? All right. Awesome. Okay. Because the bottom line is you have the solution that will get your perfect client a result. Your job is to provide them the fastest path to a result. That is your authority framework. So take focus, have it be your new currency, and really look at what is that fastest path to a result. Your customers don't want the top thing here, which is the windy path, right? They're hiring you to give them the fast path because they're using your expertise so that you can guide them on the fastest path to success. So often I see experts come in and they just build all of this content because they think that more content equals more clarity or value for the person that they're helping, when in fact it is completely the opposite. So your authority framework leads the job that you have so that you can grow your business. Okay, so that was shift number one, the hidden advantage. Let's move to shift number two, which is the secret thread that keeps customers engaged and coming back for more. All right, so here's my question for you. Who here has ever lost a customer simply because you got overwhelmed and distracted? Has it ever happened to you where like you have so much going on that you have not been able to serve the customer at the highest level because you're just overwhelmed and distracted, right? Drop on me in chat if you've ever felt that frustration and realizing you've lost focus and stopped serving your customers well. So reflect on that for a minute. All right, so here's the other end of this question. Who has ever lost a customer because they got overwhelmed and distracted? Give me a me in chat if that's happening. So you're you're not distracted, but your customer gets distracted. Yeah, most of the time people have this challenge with customers. Everyone is overwhelmed right now. Everyone has a very small attention span. In fact, it's been proven that it's less than a goldfish, which is frightening. But this is what's happening. So the second shift that we're going to make is designing a customer journey that keeps everyone on the path, including yourself. So just consider that for a moment. If you were creating a journey for someone that kept them on the path and didn't get them distracted, didn't get them to fade away, what would that do for your business? Imagine you, your team, and your customers knowing exactly what comes next. Imagine you and your team and your customers, all three of you, right? Think about what an impact that would make. They're not lost, overwhelmed, or disengaged. They're guided step by step to success. Just imagine what that would look like in your business. Because the problem, 97% of people don't complete the thing that they've started. And what do you think happens when someone doesn't finish the thing? Do you think that they get results? They do not. And we think the answer is to give them more, constantly adding new, entertaining, novel, and exciting content all the time to keep their attention. That, my friends, is what you're doing to attract people in marketing and social media and all of the things. It is not what you're doing when you actually are trying to help a customer get a result. Because the reality is your customers need clarity. They don't want more options. They want a simple, clear journey that leads to success. The biggest mistake that I see business owners make is overloading customers with content, hoping to keep their attention. If you're constantly adding more videos, if you're constantly adding more things to your programs or offers or even one-on-one custom work, the goal is to actually look at what they need, not just adding all sorts of different things to get their attention, because that's not what's going to keep it. What's going to keep it is keeping them on the path. Your customers want you to guide them through a curated and personalized journey as they go from the problem to the result. It's your choice how you want to do that, right? So that's what your customers need. It's your choice for how you want to deliver that. Okay, so what's a customer journey? The customer journey is a curated flow of touch points, milestones, and important interactions that your customer will have as they go through your step-by-step methodology, from identifying their big problem to reaching their desired result. So literally what you can do is look at it and say, okay, so who is my ideal customer? And then how are they going to go through all the different steps you want them to go through to go from the problem that they have to the result that they desire? So let's look at that. Because success does not happen randomly. It doesn't happen randomly for you, and it doesn't happen randomly for your customers. It has a through line. And a through line is a connecting theme or plot or thread that runs through an experience to make it flow. I love this term, one, because I feel like it's really visual, but two, it helps to think about what is the thread that's connecting everything from that moment they have the problem to the getting to that result that they're looking for. There is a line there. And what's happening is they're moving in that direction, right? You may have heard of the hero's journey, and that's a similar concept, right? Where you're really looking at, okay, so how is this person going from point A to point B? That's that through line. They use it in movies, they use it in events and in lots of different places so that you can see not just randomly putting a bunch of content together, but how does each thing that you're putting out for your customer impact their journey? How do you keep them on that path? Because a through line has a middle or a beginning, a middle, and an end. So when you think about that, you think about that thread that connects all of them. You have your customers that are coming in, they're first joining your thing, then they're in the middle of the experience, and at the end, they're getting that result. That's how your through line starts as you're moving through the customer journey. So when we look at the customer journey, we look at kind of these different touch points that are the basic touch points. You can add different ones. There may be more in between here, but these are the big ones. So the first one is looking. So your customers encountered a problem and they're looking for a way to get a result. Those are those three questions that we talked about a little bit earlier. So that's the first step of the customer journey. Then they make a buying decision. They say, yep, this is a solution for me. Great. They make a buying decision. Then once they've done that, then there's some sort of starting point, right? We go to the beginning line, the starting line of the experience. So they feel super confident in their decision and they know what to expect and they feel welcome. That's what an onboarding milestone of a customer journey looks like. Is they come in, they feel confident, they know exactly what's going on, and they feel welcome. Then they start transitioning into this middle part, which we call as control the dip. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but they move into that middle part where they're participating. They're getting quick wins. They're gaining momentum. They're starting to shift their mindset in terms of how they're going from the problem and starting to shift towards the result. Then what happens is there's some troubleshooting. Oops, they hit a roadblock or a hurdle or an obstacle. Something gets hard, right? And so they need to work through how to go from participating to moving through that roadblock to continuing forward to reach their result, which is that celebrating. And then the thing that we don't think about probably as much as we should is what's the next step, right? What's next in the customer journey? How do you naturally get them to continue on the next level, the next stage, or whatever it is that you have for them as they continue to go through their customer journey from the problem to the result? Because at the end, like once they've gotten to this end point, then there's a new problem, right? And a new result. And so you would just continuously work them through various through lines. That is the customer journey. So take a minute, take a picture of this if you haven't, because this is a valuable slide as you start to look at your customer journey. Okay, so I talked about this just briefly, but what happens is this in this middle part is they're actually doing the work, right? You can't change anything without doing something different. And so this middle part is when the work happens. At the beginning, people are super excited. At the end, they're super excited. But in the middle, you have this, oh, I have to do the work. This is hard. This requires effort. Oh, I have to shift something in order for this to work. We call that control the dip. So your entire job, your entire signature solution, and your signature offer live inside this dip. That is what you're offering for your customers, which is participating, troubleshooting, and celebrating. So when you think about that is the meat and potatoes of what you're offering for your customer. And so as you're building out this customer journey, you can look at that and go, okay, so what are the things that need to happen in this? So when you think about what I said earlier about people don't need more content, unless it's directly tied into one of these three things, they don't need it, right? It's just extra or fluff or whatever you want to call it. And so this is where you want to be really specific so you can help them control the dip. Okay. All right. So let's take action. Identify the first milestone your customers reach after they buy from you, right? So most often that's this onboarding step. And is it clear, predictable, and engaging? Do you have a specific way built out that you onboard every single customer consistently? Is it automated? Is it optimized in terms of it's the same experience, but you're able to do it without thinking about it, without spending lots and lots of time customizing and onboarding for people? If it's not, what's one change that you could make to simplify or improve it? Think of just one small thing that you can do that would make a huge difference in onboarding your customers. Write that in your worksheet. What's one idea that you have to simplify or improve it? Could just be sending them a welcome email. Could be making sure that they have access to the system. It could be sending them a personalized video saying, welcome, I'm super excited that you're here. That actually can be done at scale using various tools. So what is it for you as you think about that? Okay, Kristen is a great example. She used to customize every journey for her customers, which left her exhausted and unable to scale. She implemented a streamlined customer journey. She turned chaos into clarity, keeping clients engaged and freeing up her time for growth. She took and spent the time to write out her customer journey, and now she's able to deliver it consistently for each different client, which every single time a new client comes in, she's able to do that with ease without having to reinvent the wheel every single time she has a new client. Made a huge difference for her. It also works to create an authentic and natural transition from one offer to another to retain your customers. And I always say retain your customers for life. So consider if you were able to create a customer journey that just naturally transition them to the next offer. There wouldn't be any sales involved. There wouldn't be any like convincing or conversations. It just would be authentic and natural for them to move to the next part of the offer because you have built that into your customer journey. Because picture your customers not just buying from you, but eagerly awaiting your next offer because of how confident you made them feel. People aren't going to leave if they know that you are taking care of them and helping them get from point A to point B. They feel like they are being supported. That is what happens even when you transition from offer to offer. So let me introduce you quickly to Ryan. Ryan was offering everything under the sun to his clients, thinking that would keep them coming back for more. So he would bring them in and then he would have all sorts of things for them to buy once they came in the door. And he thought he was offering a ton of value. The problem is the customers had a hard time figuring out like which one was next and what order to go in and how to buy this one or this one and like what to do, right? So they were overwhelmed and he was drained trying to like fulfill on all of the things. So he simplified his customer journey. And then all of a sudden, his clients knew exactly how to go through his experiences. They got better long term results and his retention rate skyrocketed because they knew the exact next step. He outlined it for them so they knew the journey that they were going on and how to go from point A to point B. This is where the game starts to shift. Okay, so let's take action. How many of you have a way to naturally extend the relationship? Think about what's the next level problem and result that will appear for your customers once you've helped them solve this first result. Share it in chat, write it in your worksheet. Really think about what's the next thing that happens once they get to the result that you have sold to them in your first solution, your signature solution. All right, but Tara, if I had one signature experience or even simplify what I'm doing, I might lose clients. Here's the truth. When people know exactly where they're headed and see real progress, they'll stick with you for the long run. Remember, a confused prospect never buys, and a confused customer never stays. All right, so the bottom line is a well-designed customer journey actually increases the personal connection that you have with your customers, even without a one-on-one experience, because your clients always know what to expect. They feel taken care of. They stay with you longer because they can see their progress. Plus, you can actually serve them at a higher level because your capacity is freed up to really help them overcome their challenges. That is the power of having a customer journey. Okay, so we went through shift 1, which is the hidden advantage. We went through shift 2, which is that secret thread. So now let's talk about shift 3, which is the surprising shortcut to help you build your business that frees up your time even as you grow. All right, so the shift here is to leverage scalable systems. Imagine having systems in place where onboarding, follow ups, and content delivery happen consistently and automagically. What if all of that was set up in a way that was simple for you, simple for your customers, and allowed you to show up and offer the highest level of value and personalized experience for your customers because all of those sort of logistical things were taken care of? Would you be able to serve all of your customers at the highest level today and add 100 or 1,000 more tomorrow without it taking more of your time or your team's time? Really think about this question for just a second. Would you be able to add 1,000 new customers tomorrow without impact to your time Most of the time, the answer is no. But I really want you to think about that as we go through this section. How could you literally tomorrow add 1,000 people to your business without it taking more of your time? That is the shift that we're talking about here. Okay, so how many systems do you have in place today that support your ability to deliver on your customer journey that we looked at in shift number 2? How many systems? 1, 10, 20? Lots of systems, but they're all put together with duct tape and paper clips, or they're not working, or whatever else? Yeah, I see you. Okay, how many of you feel 100% confident that your systems are providing the experience you want your customers to have? I would say the answer to this question for most people is they do not feel confident, right? Again, duct tape and paper clips, systems are all over the place. If that is you're not alone, right? Like you are in a sort of a normal place of as you grow, you tend to add more systems, and it creates more complexity than you need it to create. Because if you're like most business owners, you have some tech, but it feels all over the place. Since your systems are not supporting your customers, you end up redoing things or like doing them manually or grabbing another system. So now you have 3 systems that you're using. Some customers are in this one, some are in this one, and some are in that one. Really hard to manage, really hard to grow. And at some point, you just throw them all out, right? Yeah, that is the problem that we're dealing with, because now you have too many customers or different things that you're doing, things are falling through the cracks. You need help, you need automation systems, but it feels hard and so impersonal that not only are you struggling, but you really think that your customers are going to miss you if you aren't the one showing up for all of the different things. So if you don't recreate these things manually, or you don't show up one-on-one, even if you have all these systems, say they're all working for you, your clients are going to miss you, and then they're going to leave. And I want to talk about an example to illustrate the point of why that's actually a false assumption. And it's meeting scheduling. Hopefully, most of you remember the day when meeting scheduling used to happen by sending emails back and forth. Hey, when are you available? Oh, I'm available at this time. And so you would send a number of emails back and forth, sometimes over like several days because it took so long to try and get a time on the calendar. And going backwards even more, some people actually had a full-time staff that would put calendar or meetings on their calendar, which is crazy pants, right? So you think about it, and you just something as simple as meeting scheduling, using an automated meeting scheduler where somebody can, through a link, get on your calendar, find the right time that's going to work for them and match their schedule, and schedule a meeting with you. This piece of technology is super simple, but think about how powerful it is, and how much time it saves you from going back and forth. Not only like physical time, but mental time, right? Oh, I have to get back to this person. I have to get this meeting scheduled, all the things. So the question I have for you is, does your customer feel less supported when they can choose a time that works for them on your calendar just by clicking on a link? Or do they feel more supported because they're able to do that and then move on with what they have to do, and they are confident that they have gotten on your schedule? Just think about that simple example. Okay, I want to just share with you this quick story about Brooks. Brooks is working 70-hour weeks. She was doing one-on-one work, taking calls and texts at all hours of the day to schedule new clients, doing all the paperwork, trying to do the marketing and sales, and then delivering one at a time, all at the same time, right? She was doing all of this all at the same time. And this was just one of 3 businesses that she had. She was overwhelmed and literally could not even think about how she was going to go on vacation with her family or take a weekend off. She was completely out of her mind with how overwhelmed she was with the amount of people that were coming to her and how she was serving them, all trying to do this manually. We put a few simple systems in place, and her clients actually received better service. She got her weekends back, and she was able to offer her services at scale, meaning she could start to think about how she could transition from one-on-one to group or to some sort of scalable offer that would help her really control the time that she was spending and be able to make a bigger impact. Okay, so let's make this real for you. What's one task that you're currently doing manually that could be automated or systematized? Like one thing. Pick one thing. Maybe it's your calendar, right? Or maybe it's something a little bit different. But what's one thing that you know that if you were to stop doing it manually, that would save you a ton of time? Okay, so write that down in your workbook. And then consider like how much time do you think that would give you in your day or your week? Like how much time would you be able to buy back if you had that taken care of? So even if you think about the meeting scheduling task, right? If you weren't doing that anymore, how much time would you save? I would say on average, for me, when I started to move to automated scheduling, it probably saved about 5 hours in my week, honestly. So think about what you could do with 5 more hours in your week. Okay, but Tara, automation is impersonal and it will leave my clients disconnected. In the reality, when it's done right, it actually improves the experience for your customers. They get consistent, reliable, and personalized communication. Automation doesn't mean impersonal. Your clients get consistent, high quality experience every single time, right? And it frees you up to focus on growing your business and gives your clients better, more reliable service. Think about if you were proactively reaching out to your customers and helping them before they asked for help because you know exactly where they are in the journey, what impact would that have for your customers? They'd be like, oh my gosh, she read my mind, or she's thinking about me, or she knows exactly what's going on with my business. And I'm telling you, if you create your customer journey and you use tools like this to proactively reach out to your customers, you know, exactly where they are on the journey, they feel 100% supported, not less supported with the technology. But Tara, I don't have time to build anything new. I am maxed out. So one of the things that we always recommend to our clients is start with the big needle movers, right? You have some low hanging fruit that you probably can start with. Your meeting scheduling is a great example. Pick out a couple more that would move the needle for you in terms of saving you some time so you could start doing some of the bigger lifts in terms of the tech. Because sometimes, and I would say most often, it's about simplifying and unraveling than rebuilding from scratch. You'll be surprised at how much those small shifts start to free up your time so that you can do some bigger things as you go. Because the bottom line is systems will set you free. So develop a love relationship with a scalable version of yourself. People don't care how they interact with you and your genius as long as they are getting closer to their desired result. People don't care if you're showing up in an orchestrated online experience, if they're sitting next to you one on one, or if you are showing up in some different way. They care about the fact that they're moving forward and getting to their results and that you are the one that's helping them do that. I tell one quick story that I tell around this that's just fascinating was the moment that I really understood this is I had a client that I was working with come up to me at a conference and he ran up to me. He was so excited. He's, oh my gosh, you helped me so much today. I can't even tell you. It made a huge difference in my business, like immediately. It was awesome. And I applied it and like it literally got results. And I looked at him and I said, I did not talk to you this morning. What are you talking about? And he's, oh yeah, I was going through your training and the training I went through did this. And I thought, interesting. He didn't even realize that he wasn't working with me live this morning. To him, he was working with me and he was working with a virtual version of me, but he was working with me. And to me, that was such a powerful moment because I realized that I've done the work, I've put it out there. My clients feel completely supported, and I don't have to necessarily be there live for them to get results. So think about that shift for yourself. Okay, so let's recap. Let's recap those 3 shifts: your authority strategy, your customer journey, and your scalable systems are the bridge from where you are right now to building out that scalable business. Which shift was the biggest game changer for you today? Write that in your worksheet. I'm super curious to know which one was the biggest shift. Go ahead and put that in chat or write that in your workbook. Authority strategy, having one focused approach, orchestrated customer journey, or looking at scalable systems. All right, so we want to simplify the model, systematize your delivery, and scale with impact. All right, so who wants to master the game? Type scalable in chat. If you're ready to grow your business, feel confident engaging with your customers, and see predictable revenue through building a scalable online business. Who's with me? All right, go ahead and type scalable in chat. All right, so if you're with me, if you are ready to take your business to the next level, I want to invite you into the Scalable Business Academy. This is the academy where we take each one of those shifts and help you fast track your success to getting from where you are today as an overwhelmed service provider, coach, or consultant into building an infinitely scalable business that grows without you maxing out your calendar or sacrificing your customer's experience. We do that through training, hands-on support, and connections. So let's look at what's inside the Scalable Business Academy. In this mastermind mentorship experience, we'll guide you through the exact step-by-step path to build your own scalable online business so you can stop operating in a chaotic business, find your focus, and define your authority strategy. Monetize your expertise through designing a scalable core solution. Pre-sell, launch, and deliver your MVP to real paying customers. So, my friends, yes, you will have paying customers as part of this experience. And build out your exact scalable delivery systems and automations that help you optimize your customer engagement and fulfillment while maximizing your time at the same time. And then obviously learn how to shift your value from time to results. Sometimes this is the biggest battle that you will have in this entire experience. And so it helps to have other people who are helping you hold space for that shift. So what's included? Everything that you need to fast track your success as a scalable expert business owner. This full mastermind experience includes on-demand daily pep talks, feedback, and support, like literally anytime that you need it. Comprehensive step-by-step interactive training, social learning and community, done for you templates, playbooks, and action plans, best practices and quick wins. We keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening out there in the trends in the industry with AI, interactive, business growth, all of the different things. So you don't have to worry about it. We do systems audits and customizable playbooks that allow you to have that fast track and have that map for how you go from point A to point B. Plus, we have some planners and engagement guides and some other things to help you along the way, and some additional bonuses that help you launch with ease. These are all the things and more that are inside the Scalable Business Academy. Plus, you'll get connections and support and accountability you need to stay on track. Each of the things that we have added into the Scalable Business Academy allow you to move through the customer journey and get that support when you're running into obstacles and hurdles and anything that you encounter along your path. We have specific things that we've created within the academy to help you jump over those very quickly so you stay on the path. All right, so the Scalable Business Academy is a 12-month mastermind mentorship experience. It's a $4,997 for the 12 months if you do a full pay, or you can pay $397 a month and have that just be a monthly payment that comes out on the top of the month each month. If you do choose the pay in full bonus, you get a one-on-one business edit with me and a call. So we audit your entire business, look at where you are, offer recommendations to, again, like further fast track your success inside of the academy. And of course, swag and event tickets and all sorts of other fun surprises along the way. So that's your pay in full bonus. I would love to invite you into the Scalable Business Academy today. and help you go from where you are today to really having that infinitely scalable business that allows you to get your time back and make a bigger impact in the world. So, if you are interested in finding out more about the Scalable Business Academy, go ahead and click on the link on the screen, or it's somewhere on this page. And that will take you in to the page that allows you to sign up for the Scalable Business Academy. The great thing is it's immediate access. You can jump in and start going through the experience and the customer journey of going from where you are today to becoming that business owner who has an infinitely scalable business. All right, until next time, I am so glad that you were here in this training, and I hope that you got a lot out of looking at the three key shifts that will help you to transform your business.